Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Eric Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. And over the next few minutes, we'll take you from the United States and around the world, covering all the top stories of the day. But before that, a look at the latest headlines. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif extends an offer of talks to India, saying Islamabad is now ready to engage in peace. The move comes days after India launched an operation targeting terror hubs and camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Ukraine says it has lost another U.S.-made F-16 fighter jet in its war against Russia. Kyiv says the pilot took down 3 air targets before an onboard emergency forced him to eject. A Thai construction tycoon and 14 others surrendered to police after a 30-story building collapse killed nearly 100 workers during a powerful earthquake in March. Vietnam approves a $1.5 billion investment plan by the Trump Organization and a local partner for golf courses, hotels, and real estate projects. The decision comes amid ongoing trade negotiations between Vietnam and the United States. And gold prices slip over 1%, heading for their worst week in 6 months, as a stronger U.S. dollar and a temporary U.S.-China trade deal weigh on investor demand. We begin today in the United States, which is examining the development of a new war plan. During his state visit to Qatar, U.S. President Donald Trump announced plans for a twin-engine upgrade to the F-35 fighter jet, a variant he referred to as the F-55. The president's remarks came as he unveiled a separate $96 billion deal between Qatar Airways, Boeing, and GE Aerospace.
F-35. We're doing an upgrade, a simple upgrade, but we're also doing an F-55. I'm going to call it an F-55, and that's going to be a substantial upgrade, but it's going to be also with 2 engines because the F-35 has a single engine.
The president also spoke of a modernized version of the F-22 produced by Lockheed Martin, which is described as the F-22 Super. He added that while China may have copied the U.S. aircraft designs, it won't be able to replicate American engine technology.
I think the most beautiful fighter jet in the world is the F-22, but we're going to do an F-22 Super, and it'll be a very modern version of the F-22 fighter jet.
Now, the F-22 and the F-35 are both 5th-generation stealth fighters designed for different missions. The F-22 is a twin-engine, single-seat fighter jet built for air superiority that's able to evade radar and engage enemy aircraft with speed and agility. In comparison, the F-35 is a single-engine, multi-role fighter aircraft designed for both strike missions and defensive operations. Now, the president's announcements come amid ongoing debates over the future of the F-22 program, with Congress reportedly blocking U.S. Air Force plans to retire the jet in favor of next-generation designs such as Boeing's F-47. The comment also follows his request to Congress for a national defense budget of over $890 billion for fiscal year 2026. The White House says it will help rebuild the military and revive U.S. deterrence, but senior lawmakers warn the budget represents a real-term cut that may limit President Trump's strategic options. So far, the Pentagon has not confirmed the F-35 or F-22 Super programs, and the White House has offered no further details. With no blueprints and no timelines, is the next generation of American air power still on the drawing board? Former FBI Director James Comey is under investigation after posting a photo on Instagram that many believe suggested violence against President Donald Trump. The image showed seashells arranged to form the number 8647, which according to the Webster Dictionary combines slang for get rid of with Trump's position as the 47th president. Now, Comey deleted the post and denied any harmful intent, but the Secret Service is now reviewing the incident. In fact, MAGA supporters and officials have strongly condemned the post, calling it dangerous and unacceptable. Here's our report with more.
A beach walk, a photo, and a storm of controversy. Former FBI Director James Comey is under investigation by the U.S. Secret Service after posting a cryptic image to Instagram. The post, which is now deleted, featured seashells arranged to spell out 8647, 8647, and it quickly ignited outrage across right-wing circles. Comey captioned the photo simply, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk," but that casual remark has since spiraled into a full-blown political firestorm. And the controversy centers around the interpretation of the numbers. The term 86 is widely recognized as restaurant slang for eliminating or discarding something. In fact, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, 86 can informally mean to get rid of. More rarely, it's also been used as a coded term for killing. And combined with 47, a reference to Donald Trump as the 47th president, some see the post as a not-so-subtle call for violence. MAGA supporters, on the other hand, wasted no time reacting. Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security, called the post a threat and confirmed an active investigation. Then the Secret Service confirmed they are aware of the incident and plan to investigate thoroughly. However, they did not provide further comment. Now, after the backlash, Comey issued a public statement. "I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence," he said. "It never occurred to me. But I oppose violence of any kind, so I took the post down." Trump supporters, however, weren't buying the explanation. Donald Trump Jr. accused Comey of publicly inciting his father's assassination. "Just James Comey casually calling for my dad to be murdered," he tweeted. "This is who the Dem media worships. Demented." Taylor Budowich, White House Deputy Chief of Staff, called the image deeply concerning. He said it could clearly be interpreted as a hit on the sitting president. The reaction on Capitol Hill was also swift. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett demanded Comey's arrest. Even the FBI responded. Director Kash Patel stated that while the Secret Service holds primary jurisdiction, the FBI is offering full support. "We are in communication with the Secret Service and Director Curran," Patel posted. Comey and Trump have a long and bitter history. Trump fired Comey during his first term amid the FBI's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Comey later published a memoir describing Trump's alleged demand for loyalty, further fueling their feud. And this latest incident comes after 2 assassination attempts against Trump. Last July, Trump survived a shooting at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. And 2 months later, in another assassination attempt, an armed man was caught near his Florida golf course. So with the beach photo becoming a political weapon, questions linger. Was it really just a coincidence of shells, or something far more deliberate hiding in plain sight?
And from Donald Trump's alleged assassination attempts, we now move to his escalating crackdown on migrants. A crackdown that has come under scrutiny following the detention and release of Badr Khan Suri, an Indian academic and visiting scholar at Georgetown University. Suri was arrested on March 17 just outside his home in Arlington, Virginia by plainclothes federal agents. But what followed was nearly 2 months of confinement that he described as Kafkaesque. He was transported across 3 states, first held overnight in Virginia, then sent to Louisiana, and finally confined at the Prairie Land Detention Center in Texas due to overcrowding. The Department of Homeland Security accused Suri of having close connections to a known or suspected terrorist and claimed he was spreading Hamas propaganda on campus. However, even after his detention, no formal charges were ever filed.
"There was no charge. There was nothing. They made a subhuman out of me. My ankles, my wrist, my body, everything was chained. For the first 7-8 days, I even missed my shadow."
Now, since Suri's release, his legal team has filed a habeas corpus petition challenging the legality of his detention. In fact, his lawyers argue that he was targeted for not any criminal act, but because of his political beliefs and his wife's Palestinian heritage.
Americans don't want to live in a country where the federal government disappears people whose views it doesn't like. If they can do this to Dr. Suri, they can do this to anyone.
Now, according to court filings, Suri's father-in-law was a former deputy foreign minister in the Hamas government in Gaza, an association that may have made him a suspect in the eyes of federal authorities. District Judge Patricia Giles ruled that Suri's detention violated the First Amendment, which guarantees freedom of speech. Hence, she ordered his immediate release and allowed him to return to his family on personal recognizance. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is reportedly considering suspending habeas corpus rights for immigrants, an extraordinary move that could fast-track deportations and reduce court oversight. However, Senator Amy Klobuchar has said that such a step is unlikely to pass Congress and cannot be taken unilaterally by the president.
Donald Trump is trying to remake the executive office into one that is immune from outside accountability. He's engaging in unprecedented overreach that disregards the rule of law and pretends as if the independent judiciary is a bug rather than a feature of our system.
So for now, Siri is free, but his future remains uncertain. And with the administration signaling a tougher stance on immigration and dissent, one question looms large: who might be next? And now shifting to controversy in Mexico, where an American YouTuber, Mr. Beast, has landed into some serious trouble over his visit to the country's temples. Mexico is demanding compensation and a public retraction from Mr. Beast's production company, Full Circle Media. The accusation stems from a recent video showcasing the social media star's visit to ancient Mayan archaeological sites. The video, titled "I Explored 2,000-Year-Old Ancient Temples," has garnered significant attention, amassing around 60 million views on YouTube since its release just last week. In the video, Mr. Beast, who boasts an enormous online following of 395 million subscribers, explores iconic Mayan cities in southeastern Mexico. However, the visit has sparked controversy on multiple sites. Comments made by Mr. Beast within the video, including expressing surprise at the government allowing his access to a pyramid, drew criticism from viewers who pointed out that such access is often restricted to Mexican citizens.
Those of us here know the importance of that, and we respect the fact that they don't let us in. But for the authorities to let outsiders somehow access these places by any means, either because they paid or because of sites, or so that more people come here to visit, well, if it's this frustration of why do they let them in and they're not respecting our heritage?
Now, adding to the controversy, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum herself has requested clarification on the conditions under which Mr. Beast and his crew were granted access to these historically significant locations. But the core of the dispute lies in the alleged commercial exploitation of these sites. In fact, throughout the video, Mr. Beast is seen promoting his own brand of snacks, even referring to them as Mayan approved. Now, this has triggered an official complaint from Mexico's National Institute of Anthropology and History. And the institute asserts that the permit granted to Full Circle Media was solely for filming purposes and did not extend to the promotion of private brands. The sentiment is echoed by locals in the region. And in Mérida, the capital of Yucatan State, residents, including tour guides, have voiced their disapproval for the preferential access seemingly granted to the YouTuber.
They are not respecting our history, our cultural heritage. Restrictions and regulations should be for everyone, nationals, national tourism, foreign visitors, as well as for us locals. Of course it is annoying. That should be totally restricted for everyone.
I think it's part of a strategy to call it that, to promote Mexico in a certain way. And we see that there is hardly much promotion by, in this case, YouTubers or influencers from outside Mexico. So given the opportunity.
Now, the incident has raised important questions about the ethical use of cultural heritage sites in online content and the responsibilities of influencers with massive global reach. And today, we end with a missing Melania Trump statue. In Slovenia, a statue honoring the U.S. First Lady has once again made headlines, this time for mysteriously vanishing. The bronze figure, installed in her hometown of Sevnica after the original wooden sculpture was vandalized and set on fire, was reportedly removed by unknown individuals earlier this week. Here's more on the mystery.
It seems Slovenia's complicated relationship with its most famous export, Melania Trump, has hit yet another dramatic and slightly absurd milestone. The bronze statue of the US First Lady which had been standing on a tree stump in the fields outside her home of Sevnica, has mysteriously vanished. And not gently removed by art-loving officials, reports suggest it was chopped off at the legs and hauled away like a rogue garden ornament in the dead of night. Slovenian police have confirmed they received a report of the disappearance, and an investigation is underway. But as of now, no suspects, no motives, and no CCTV footage capturing the statue heist have been revealed. Locals have been left scratching their heads, while art critics and political onlookers can't decide whether it's an act of protest, a prank, or simply a case of bad taste. For those unfamiliar with the backstory, the statue's disappearance is just the latest chapter in a long, weird tale of Slovenia's love-hate affair with Melania Trump's public image. It all began in 2019 when the American artist Brad Downey, in collaboration with local woodcarver Alj Žepevk, installed a chainsaw-carved wooden statue of Melania in a sky blue dress. It was famously modeled after her look at Donald Trump's 2017 presidential inauguration. The statue, to put it gently, wasn't exactly a masterpiece. Locals nicknamed it everything from Smurfette to Scarecrow Melania. And critics couldn't decide whether it was a tribute or an unintentional parody. Some claimed it looked more like a glitch in a video game than a polished ode to the former model turned First Lady. The statue met a fiery fate when an unidentified arsonist set it ablaze just months after the unveiling. Brad Downey, perhaps undeterred, replaced the charred remains with a bronze replica, this time securely mounted on a hefty wooden stump with concrete and metal rods. Well, they did. And now the bronze version has mysteriously disappeared. Some say it's an act of political protest by anti-Trump locals who resent the global spotlight Melania brought. Others suggest it could be the work of collectors hoping to resell the statue on the black market. Some locals argue the statues have been more about generating tourist buzz than sparking meaningful debate, with Sevnica becoming a magnet for curious visitors seeking Melania-branded cakes, chocolates, wines and souvenirs, rather than introspection on Slovenia's political exports. Regardless of who took it or why, one thing is certain. Slovenia's most famous daughter continues to spark controversy and confusion, whether she's physically present or not. At this point, locals might want to consider switching to holograms because they're harder to set on fire or get stolen.
That's going to do it for us today. We certainly thank you for tuning in today and every day. We hope you have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you right back here next week.